Hi everyone! So I was threatening to make kind of Christmassy vlogs over the Christmas period, obviously. I had this notion that I might kind of have my camera to hand and then I might take it out and film bits and pieces, and yeah, that didn't happen. I don't know, Christmas was kind of quiet this year, I suppose. It went really quickly. There was nothing, it didn't feel hugely festive. I was definitely in a better kind of emotional place than I was the last time I was talking to you for my solstice vlog. And I did have a nice time. It was really nice to kick back and relax and kind of recalibrate and stuff. But I just didn't really ever feel like reaching for the camera because I just wasn't in the mood to kind of be kind of chirpy or chatty or show you things, and there wasn't really much to be sharing. To be honest, I did go out for a really nice, well, apart from the usual family stuff, we had a really nice big family get together. My dad's side of the family, we tend to have them over for dinner every year, so we had them over on the 27th and it was really great. A cousin of mine lives in London, so I at the moment really only see him once a year, so it was really good to catch up with him and to catch up with the rest of the family, who, you know, to be fair, most of them I only see them at Christmas too. So that was really nice, and everyone was in really good form, and that was really nice. And then I also went for a really nice walk with a friend of mine around this place near my parents' house where I often go for a walk, but it was nice to go for a walk with her too and catch up. But yeah, so I've only literally just come back to the flat today, and so I've been in my parents' house for like a week, and now I'm just sort of feeling like sharing a few things with you. So without further ado, I'll tell you what you're looking at right now. This is one of my presents. I would say probably, well, one of my main presents from my parents for Christmas this year, and it's absolutely beautiful. Now this is something that I actually kind of picked out myself. Me and my parents tend to kind of create wish lists during the year and kind of throw anything on there that might be, you know, that catches our eye, but that we wouldn't necessarily buy for ourselves. But it's, you know, it's kind of an extensive kind of wish list, so we don't buy everything for each other off the wish lists, if you see what I mean. So even if you put something on there, it doesn't mean you're necessarily gonna get it. So I was really excited to get this particular item off that wish list. It's absolutely stunning. It's even more beautiful in person than I would have hoped. I really should have checked the name of this artist before I started filming. I can't for the life of me now remember her name. I'll have to look it up and stick it in a caption in the video. But I think you probably get an idea of the scale as well, because that's the door, the living room door, and for the moment she's hanging on the back of the door, and she's kind of called a crone, just a kind of crone goddess. But to me there is a lot of the Morrigan going on here. I mean, the crows and also the sort of megalithic kind of tomb behind her. It reminds me a lot of some of the tombs in Ireland, and it also reminds me of Cruachan, which is, now it doesn't look quite like this, but it is a sort of cave which is semi-natural and semi-man-made in Ireland that is really strongly related to the Morrigan. So this whole image just really, when I saw it, I just thought, oh, I need to have that hanging in my room at some point. So I'll just move the camera, see if that's something new to look at. So yeah, I might pick up where I've left off at some point and add to this video to make it into something a bit more substantial. Oh yeah, what you're looking at now, as you might recognise it, this used to be where my altar was, and these days it's just, well actually in here, sorry you can't see my hand, in here I keep my herbs and stuff like that, kind of supplies, altar supplies. But it's really just a little place where I have a couple of little animal kind of things, a little bath statue there, and yeah, so it's kind of just an oil burning kind of place and candle place for it to put candles and stuff like that now. So yeah, it's the 31st of December today as I'm filming this. So I think I'm going to be just going now and kind of doing my makeup and getting ready to go out. I'm going to a gig tonight. And I'm supposed to, well, some of my friends are going to karaoke tonight as well before the gig, but I'm not really in the mood for that. To be honest, it's only like 2 of my friends and then kind of friends of friends who I don't know so well, and I'm just feeling not really in the mood for that, you know, the way you kind of have to be in the right kind of mood, I think. And also I find that karaoke is a hell of a lot more fun with your own friends than with like people you don't know so well. If anything, if for no other reason than like that they were, I don't know, I've no idea what kind of music they're going to be picking to sing and stuff like that. So I think I'm going to go along late to that, just to like show up for 30 minutes or whatever, because otherwise I might run out of energy at some point during the night. So I'm going to be going to do that, and going to be watching some YouTube videos while I do my makeup, I think, and listening to a bit of music, and generally trying to kind of pump myself up for the evening. And yeah, I hope that by the time I post this, I'm sure it'll be well into the new year, but I hope that you all have a really nice New Year's Eve. It's going to be a weird one for me. I think it's going to be a bit of a departure from the last couple of years. I don't get hugely excited about New Year's Eve itself, but I think at some point in the next couple of days it'll probably sink in that we're in a new year, and I will kind of get excited about that and get the kind of new year kind of buzz. But very mixed feelings about New Year's Eve, and I've had kind of ups and downs on the night, you know. I'm like that a lot about like things like birthdays and Christmas and New Year's Eve, that in theory I can kind of feel very excited about it, but then when it actually comes around to it, a lot of the time I'll find it very disappointing, or I won't be in the right mood, so it won't go the way I expected it to. So I feel like I've lowered my expectations pretty drastically about these kinds of things in the last couple of years, and I'm still kind of finding my feet in terms of how to approach kind of days like that. So I'm definitely still finding my feet with New Year's Eve as to, you know, how I actually want to spend the night, whether I actually prefer to have a quiet night or whether I prefer to go out. So I'll be going into town, like I say, to a gig. It'll be loud, it'll be dancey, it'll be lots of drunk people, and hopefully I'll be able to get into the right mood for that kind of night out. So it should be a lot of fun, and yeah, I guess I will talk to you again soon. Hi everyone, and a very happy new year to you, because I'm not sure when I'm going to be posting this video, and I have already posted videos that I had pre-recorded in January, but this is the first video that I'm making in 2015. So I kind of felt like starting the year of videos with having a little bit of a chat with you guys about what the new year is feeling like for me this year, what kind of thoughts I'm having about it, to what extent I'm associating the change of year with some shifts and changes that are happening in my own life. And 2015 so far has already brought about a couple of really major changes, internal, external. My whole life for the last couple of weeks and months has really been in upheaval. And it's really been shifting and changing a lot. There's an awful lot of things that are being shaken up and coming to an end and starting and stuff like that. So I've actually spent less time this year than I did last year planning for 2015 and actually writing lists or deciding what I actually want the year to look like on a day-to-day basis, or what goals or plans that I have for the year, because right now I feel like I'm not really sure how the year is going to pan out. I have a couple of big ideas, a couple of big plans for the year, but those are kind of pretty far down the line in terms of, for example, I am planning to go back to university at the end of the year, but that won't be happening until September or October. So obviously I have to apply and do all of that kind of stuff in the meantime, but it's something that I probably won't even have to, excuse me, make a solid decision on until, you know, the summer. So I'm actually feeling that now, kind of come mid-January, I'm going to be getting more into a place where I can actually start to think about the changes that have already happened in 2015 and what the rest of the year is going to look like, and start actually making a couple of goals and stuff like that. I've been finding that over the past couple of days, really what I've been doing is looking back over the past year and remembering how it actually went, and kind of drawing lines between the dots quite a lot. I've definitely been doing a lot of connecting of the dots in my own life and seeing a lot of patterns that were actually going on that I didn't see at the time, understanding the processes that have been happening in my internal and external lives. And for this, actually going back over the daily planner that I was talking about in my previous video, I was saying, or I don't know if it will be the previous video or not, but the video I made about updating my journaling habits. I was talking about how I'd stopped using my daily planner as a daily journaling device. But actually, looking back over that, because I kept it quite stringently for the first 6 months of the year, looking back over that has actually been quite illuminating, because there were a couple of major shifts that started happening for me in the summer, and I actually had forgotten what the dates were and how things actually panned out and how quickly things really were happening. And it was really illuminating to look back over that and to remember, because I can remember various rituals that I did and various kind of workings that I did and changes that I was feeling coming on in myself and trying to evoke in myself. And then that they were actually coming to manifestation in my life in ways that I wasn't expecting. So I kind of didn't make the connection initially between the shifts that were happening for me at the time and the kind of spiritual practice that was going on at the same time. I kind of wasn't really making that connection, because I felt like I was trying to reach some clarification about one aspect of my life, and actually what was becoming clarified was a totally different aspect of my life that I didn't think, that I wasn't expecting, to kind of be illuminated in that way. So that was really interesting. I'm not sure exactly how much I want to go into what has been going on in my life and how much relevance it is to you guys. I feel like there are very kind of fairly mixed responses to me talking in detail about like my personal life and stuff. I know some of you really appreciate the kind of more raw and open and vulnerable kind of videos, and I know that other people probably just don't think it's relevant, that they just, you know, don't want to listen to me rambling on about myself. But I do actually kind of want to really briefly state the major shifts that have been happening in my life, because I feel a bit strange about not actually talking about it here. So the major thing that has changed for me at the very beginning of 2015 was that me and my boyfriend broke up. This is something that was already kind of coming about since Samhain. We went on a break around Samhain and then finally ended our relationship completely just at the beginning of 2015. So that obviously has been the biggest change in my life. Probably the biggest change in my life that's happened. I mean, I suppose starting up Heart Story last March was also huge. But I would say before that, the biggest change in my life that happened was probably me getting back together with my boyfriend 2.5 years ago. So that was obviously huge. And I'm okay. We are still firm friends for the moment anyway, and I'm very much hoping that that is going to continue into the future. It's not so much of a kind of breakup as just a change in relationship, that we're changing from being in a romantic relationship to being friends. And I know that this is fairly unusual. Some of my friends think this is kind of not a great idea. Some of them can. I think the ones who really know us and have seen us through all the ups and downs of the past 7 years, because it's coming up on 7 years since the first time we got together, I think they understand our dynamic and they know us well enough and they know we're such good friends. They've seen us together and they just know that we're such good friends that it's kind of hard to imagine how it would be a good thing that we would not see each other again. So that's something that I just want to put out there as well, for anyone who just ever does happen to be going through a breakup or anything like that, and you're thinking that you do want to be friends but you don't think that that's something that actually happens or is a good idea. Obviously I can't speak from experience until a couple more months or years down the line to see if we are actually still friends, if it has actually turned out to be a positive and nurturing thing. But I always think that when it comes to endings and changes in your life, you really don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater. That is my personal belief. I really, really do believe that. I don't think you're necessarily kidding yourself or holding on out of fear or something if you decide that you want to change something but you don't want to let go of it completely. And that definitely goes for an awful lot of other kind of things in your life as well, apart from just your relationships with other people. I think that kind of works across the board. And it's very important to be able to tell the difference between clinging to something that actually you would be better off letting go of completely, or just being honest with yourself about the parts of a situation or a relationship or what have you that are actually nurturing to you, that you actually really enjoy, that are helping you grow, that are positive and loving or whatever, and figuring out a way of holding on to those aspects of whatever the situation is that is changing in your life. So yeah, I definitely think that's something that can be overlooked when people are talking an awful lot about shifts and changes and release, letting go to allow in the new. I think there's an awful lot of pressure sometimes on people, particularly like in the spiritual community and the New Age community, where people do talk about releasing an awful lot. I think there can be a lot of pressure to, like I say, throw the baby out with the bathwater, just really kind of fling it all out, just push it all away. And I think sometimes that can just be just as unhealthy as clinging. I think that can really just be just as unhealthy, because you're pushing away something that actually might be really a really important part of your life, and actually it may be more nurturing to you, and it might make you grow more if you had to kind of think about how you might integrate that into your life in a different way. I think that can be a challenge, a different kind of challenge to just pushing it out of your life completely, but an interesting kind of challenge all the same. And like I say, I think that goes for all sorts of things in life. The second major change that's happening for me in 2015, in January 2015, is that I'm finally finishing in my current place of employment. Obviously not Heart Story, it's a place that I've been working as a sort of librarian slash archivist for the past 2 years. And that is finally coming to an end. So that's pretty major as well, because that has been my first real job. So finishing there is a pretty major step. I was hoping that that would kind of signal the end of me being a librarian in general, but I'm not altogether sure yet if that's going to be the case. I had an interview this week for another job, which is a temporary position and another half-time position, and yeah, it's again a kind of librarian archivist kind of role, and I haven't heard back from them yet, so I don't know if that's going to be continuing for me for another kind of 6 months or so, but one way or another I'm starting to let go of my career as a librarian archivist kind of area of things. It's something that, to be honest, I've been trying to sort of let go of gradually almost since it began. I don't necessarily think it was like the worst kind of job I could have gone into, or like a huge horrible mistake. I've had some amazing experiences working in that job. The place that I've worked in was a really wonderful place to work in. I've met some amazing people there, and it was really a really nice work environment, and I had some really interesting projects that really required quite a learning curve, and that were actually quite stimulating for me as well while I was working there. I was lucky enough to have very interesting work while I was there as well. But I think the main lesson I had to learn in being a librarian was that not only that I'm not cut out to be a librarian, I don't think it's specific to, that particular area of work. It's more that I'm not cut out to be in any of those sort of vocational jobs, or working in an office, or working really in any of those kind, being a teacher, any of those kind of jobs that most people do. I always just assumed that I would end up in one of those kinds of jobs, and that's what people do. And I had pretty good evidence of like my parents having found something that they're interested in and pursuing that. My mother was a teacher, so that's another good example of, she is somebody who's very intelligent and who was able to sort of, focus that intelligence on her work, which involved, teaching children. But what I learned about myself is that I have a very short fuse when it comes to doing work that I'm not like super motivated about and really focused on and really passionate about. I can do it, and I will focus, and I will get the work done, and I will do it well, but I have a really hard time making myself do that. I don't get anything out of it. I find it incredibly difficult to focus all of my intellect and all of my interest and commitment and passion on that thing unless I can see some bigger picture, unless it's connecting into something that on a larger scale I'm really passionate about. And that was really illuminating for me, because it's basically showed me that even if going down the path of becoming kind of self-employed, and whatever way that Heart Story goes, and maybe making money as an artist or writer, whatever way that goes for me, I've learned that even though that's going to be hard, and it would be easier for me to have stability with, a regular career and a regular job, I don't really think I have a choice. I honestly don't think I have a choice. I think ultimately I'm going to have to pursue some sort of career that is encompassed within spirituality or creativity, like very specifically like artistic creativity or spirituality or religion, because those are the only areas in my life that I am truly passionate about, particularly looking at those things in a kind of academic way. And yeah, it's just like, I think it's just a personality temperament, and I'm really interested that I've met so many people who are very, very intelligent. So it's not that I'm just bored or, you know, that the work isn't kind of stimulating enough or anything like that, because I know people who have worked similar jobs who are capable of kind of focusing their intelligence and their passion and all of that kind of stuff just on what they're doing and getting a lot out of that, kind of making, I don't know, kind of creating a sort of philosophy out of it, just creating a bigger picture that works for them and that involves that kind of work. And that's something that I have just basically totally failed at in the last couple of years that I've been working as a librarian. So that's been really, really interesting to learn, and I've had to completely change my worldview. I've had to completely change my idea about how my life is going to pan out. A couple of years ago, or even a year ago, I would have been assuming that, well, maybe 2 years ago, I would have been assuming that my life is going to just, you know, I'll find a job, I'll keep moving around jobs until I find one I really like, and I'll have a kind of a stable career. I'll be making a certain amount of money by the time I'm 30, a certain amount more money by the time I'm 40. I'll settle down, I'll buy a house, I'll have a mortgage. And a lot of that is kind of starting to melt away for me. And I'm starting to get a lot more flexible with the ideas of having a lot less money than I would have expected, how little money I can actually comfortably get by on and stuff like that. So all of that has been, I suppose that was basically 2014 for me, was making those realizations. Yeah, because up until that point I had been kind of saying to myself, oh no, if I just find the right work, if I just find the right job, then I'll be able to focus on it, then I'll be able to really get something out of that. So yeah, let me know what you think about that actually, because for a long time I thought that I was just kidding myself. I thought I was being lazy or spoilt or something, that I couldn't just, I don't know, just commit to doing a job like everyone else does, just going to work and making money. But I honestly think that it is a personality trait, that some people are way more able to kind of do that than others, and that I actually just have been, I just have turned out to be this kind of person who can't do that. So I would be interested to see what other people think, and if you have a similar experience, if you found the same thing to be true. On the flip side of that, I would say that I am actually currently working on it. This is something that again I was working on throughout 2014, trying to be more engaged with the moment. And even if I am doing work that I'm not like super excited about, that doesn't kind of fit in with my big, you know, grand plan and my life's passions, that I actually do focus and engage and get something out of that moment, kind of just by being more present and more mindful, and not just feeling resentful of having to spend my time doing that thing. I think that's very important as well, and that will get you through a lot of kind of jobs that are less enjoyable or less meaningful for you, but I think there's only a certain extent to which that can help me out. It's a very kind of, I think that will help me out as long as it's short-term kind of projects that I'm working on, as long as I'm not feeling like, oh, I'm just getting into this and this is going to be my career and this is going to be the rest of my life, if you know what I mean. I think as long as it's, I can probably hone that ability for kind of short-term projects. So for example, if I get this job and I'm doing that for another 6 months, that's a pretty contained amount of time. I know that it's going to come to an end at some point, and that then I'm going to have the freedom to kind of further the other aspects of my career that I'm more interested in. So I think I've probably said most of what I was going to say. Just finally, I'll say that for 2014 I did have the Leonie Dawson you got workbooks, oh I can't remember what they're called, but you know what I mean, the kind of yearly planner kind of things, and this year I didn't purchase any of those kind of year planner things. I just didn't feel, again, you know, the beginning of this year just hasn't felt like the time for me to be doing that kind of thing. But I think what I am going to do, I have this particular journal that I was given as a Christmas gift. I think I am going to sit down over the next couple of days and start just kind of making up my own yearly planner, I suppose. Maybe put down a couple of goals, but primarily I think I just want to really focus on this year actually figuring out those things that make me very happy, that I can, those things that I get into a state of flow while I'm doing, and actually be honest with myself about which things really do make me feel that way and which things actually don't, but that I think that they should. Because I think we can build up a lot of ideas. You know, our ego builds up all these ideas about what we like and what we don't like, and sometimes they're not as true as you would think. Like sometimes we're kind of being weirdly delusional about ourselves and about our passions and what we actually are really good at and what we actually are really passionate about doing, what we actually get into flow while doing. You know, we build up these ideas throughout our lives, like, oh, I'm a writer, or oh, I'm a painter, I'm a musician, whatever it is that you have this idea in your head that this is what I am, you know, I'm a teacher, I'm whatever it is. And we just carry that along with us through our lives, and we feel like if we're not doing that, you know, we're never going to be happy, and then we do it and then we're still not happy. And I think a couple of different things could be happening in that situation. You could be putting yourself under too much pressure while doing that thing, you're not doing it in the way that would make you happy, or maybe it is actually just time to let go of that aspect of your life. Maybe it is time to let go of that part of your identity and accept that actually there are other things that you enjoy doing more, that you get into flow with more, and that just bring you more joy. So that's something that I'm going to start getting really clear about, because I've been finding over the past like 6 to 9 months that while I do have more time and to be spending on things that I enjoy, and I have been doing more of the things that I'm really passionate about, that I really enjoy doing, and that's been great, I think I haven't really been specific enough with myself about the things that I actually really want to be doing. Not just the things that, and I have talked about this before in a video which I think was called something like is following your passion stressing you out? And just making that distinction between things that you kind of sort of want to do or are interesting to you, or that they tie in with things that you really want to do. But no, you know, cut that out and get to the point. What is it that you really want to do? And you'll probably have to build around that, and you will always have to do some things that you actually don't want to do in your life. But as long as you're focusing on those things that you really want to do and making sure that they are fitting into your schedule. I mean, I don't just mean like your monthly schedule, I mean like your weekly, preferably daily schedule. And that's what I'm kind of trying to do. I'm trying to actually make a list for myself of the things that I think I really want to be doing every day, do them every day for a while and see how I feel. And see if that actually works out, and be really honest with myself. And you know, if I decide that I really want to read academic literature every day and paint every day and do a tarot reading every day, you know, for either a client or just work with tarot in general, if I don't have any paying clients at that time, you know, do that for a while. And then if one of those things is actually not speaking to me as much as I think it should be, then okay, I can accept that and I can move on, and I don't have to, you know, there's nothing forcing me to stick with that, because especially if I'm going down a kind of self-employed route, if I'm going to be, you know, full-time self-employed in the foreseeable future, there's no point in me being dishonest with myself. And that's absolutely the same for everybody else as well. There's no point in being dishonest with yourself about your passions, about what you really get in flow with, what you really actually get, you know, soul nourishment out of. If you're not being honest with yourself about those things, you're only going to make yourself unhappy in the long run, you know. You're only going to be sacrificing the things that might actually be making you feel that way, and just making yourself guilty, just drawing yourself into this terrible guilty loop of thinking, oh, I should be doing this, I should be doing this, I should be enjoying it, I'm not enjoying it enough, why am I not enjoying it enough, I have to do it more, I have to enjoy it more. So that's the main thing I think that I want to be doing in 2015, particularly the first 6 months of 2015, is really getting honest about the things that make my soul sing, and actually doing them, preferably every day, but at the very minimum, if you know it's something big, at the minimum every week. So I think that's probably enough to be going on with for the moment. I just kind of wanted to give you a bit of a kind of snapshot into where I'm at right now. I didn't talk a huge amount about spirituality. I might actually at some point in the next couple of weeks make another video about spirituality and where I feel like my spiritual practice is going in 2015. I feel like this video is more just about kind of self-development and passion and stuff like that. So I'll leave it there for the moment. If you have any comments or suggestions for me, or any kind of anything you want to reply to anything that I said in this video, please do comment below, and take care. I will talk to you soon.